on today's edition of the Cowboys Report, we're talking trades. Various outlets linking different players to the Cowboys. I wanted to look at 5 different names, let's mention some others, and break down the possibility of each of those players ending up in Dallas. Before we get to that, will the Dallas Cowboys actually make a trade? Historically, they like to make moves at the trade deadline. It just might not be the way that the type of splashy move everyone wants them to make or thinks they might make. So get your predictions in. 1 for yes, 0 for no. The first player discussed on today's show is one Amari Cooper. Now, for each of these players, we'll mention who reported it or who mentioned it, etc. In Amari Cooper's case, there have been several. The one that stands out to me is the Bleacher Report on Amari Cooper, saying, according to Rossini, i.e. Diana Rossini, Dallas was never interested in Adams because of the financial cost. Perhaps the Cowboys will look to reacquire Cooper, who they traded to Cleveland in 2022. Now, his price point is manageable. On that note, it's the vet minimum is all that Amari Cooper is owed the rest of the way. It's the prorated figure. Immensely affordable for any NFL franchise. The Cowboys are going to be down Cooks for at least 3 more games, and that's the minimum, not the maximum, by the way. Jalen Tolbert played very well against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kevontae Turpin has flashed as well. Jalen Brooks has been a blocker. Ryan Flournoy got some playing time as well. What's noteworthy for Cooper, his numbers are down this year. Now, his off-target rate has skyrocketed to 45%, which is unbelievably high. It'd be the highest. The ESPN, that's the metric that it's from, has tracked in their entire time doing this stuff. Also has 8 drops this year. Now, of note, the 3 seasons in which Amari Cooper has had his most drops have been 2024, 2023, and 2022. Could that be a sign of decline? He dropped one right off his chest. Could this be a quarterback issue that's not maybe the most catchable ball in the end? I do think Amari has declined a little bit. I think he can still help you. So odds of happening, I'm going to kind of do a funny number of 19%, which was his number, because 1.9 felt like a little bit too low. I probably rounded up too high, but it's funny because I do wish this would happen. I do think your offense as a whole has missed the type of player Amari Cooper is. Guys that get open are always quarterback friendly. I don't think he is at the same peak that he was at times in with the Raiders, with the Cowboys. I do think he can still help you, though. I think he can help you be a better football team. He's also super cheap. That matters for the Jones boys. I also know this. Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones are not often ones to say, yep, we messed up. Our fault. Let's try it again. I don't know if their egos would allow them to say, yeah, we let it get personal with Amari Cooper. We screwed up. We've never properly replaced him. Let's bring him back. So do you want Amari Cooper back? Maybe you don't trust the injury stuff. Maybe you don't trust the road game woes. Y for yes, N for no. Go vote for me at the pinned comment of today's show. T. Higgins, the Bengals wide receiver, somehow is next up here. I actually get why he's on here. Outlets will not let that one go because they wanted to trade him this past offseason. Bengals off to a slow start. Here's what Bleacher Report argued. Dallas may have salvaged its season with a much-needed win over Pittsburgh on Sunday night. They could use a strong complement to CeeDee Lamb on the perimeter. Brandon Cooks was recently placed on IR following a knee procedure. Now, I do think we should acknowledge the fact that Higgins isn't always healthy either. He's actually pretty consistently banged up. Sometimes he's a bit too much like the Ferrari, that high-end luxury sports car that just doesn't maybe have the best reliability. But when it's out there, it's awesome. That's what we saw in 2016, 2021, or 2022, 2021, 2020 when he was a rookie. He was awesome. The odds it's happening, though, I think are actually 0. I don't see it happening at all. The Bengals are not trading him. They will not be officially out of the playoff hunt. So they're not going to sell one of their best young players. Now, I don't think they're going to pay him long term. You know who else is it going to pay T. Higgins? The Cowboys. He's due a prorated figure of $21.86 million. So it's really 21.8 divided by 18 times blah, blah, blah. So you're paying, a minimum, it's going to be $15 million $14 million if you do it now. It maybe drops a little bit lower, whatever. You can round and say 12. It's just not going to happen. The Cowboys aren't paying that for Devontae Adams. They're not going to pay it for T. Higgins either. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best way to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. They've got it available in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. They also invented the Flex Play, which means you can still cash if your lineup isn't perfect. I love the Flex Play because I'm really good about getting 2 out of 3 right. I actually am right in my boy Petey's Prize Pick slate this week. He's got Caleb Williams more than passing yards against the Jags defense out in London. Darnell Mooney more than receiving yards. He's low-key pretty hot right now. And Tony Pollard more than rushing yards. I love that one because the Colts' run defense is terrible. So sign up today at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play 5. You don't even need to win to get the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. Let's go to Miles Sanders here. This one is maybe a little bit more doable than the T. Higgins one, as low as that bar might be. Coming to us from CBS Sports, this was their best trade for the Cowboys, which was kind of not very clear. Anyway, here's what CBS Sports wrote. Jerry Jones didn't want to pay for Derrick Henry, so he might require Carolina to eat some of Sanders' deal. But the former Eagles standout would at least give Dak Prescott more proven run support. It's not proven good, though, lately. We do know that, right? Like, Miles Sanders was hyper efficient in Philadelphia in 2021, still really efficient in 2022, outright terrible last year, and we can look at what Chuba Hubbard is doing in Carolina right now. Hubbard has played actually really good football for the Panthers. He's averaging 5.8 yards per carry on 68 trials. Miles Sanders is averaging 3.6. That's 2 yard per carry difference is about top versus bottom, basically. And it's the same offense. Like, there's one independent factor there. It is who is getting the handoffs. So that strikes me as maybe it's a Miles Sanders issue more than anything else. So I'll put the odds. It's been happening at 6.9%. Because, get it? 6.9. Rico Dowdle is very clearly a better running back at this moment. There's really no debate as far as I'm concerned. Now, Hubbard, different conversation. Maybe Carolina shops him. Even maybe most importantly, Miles Sanders is due $4.3 million a year. Now, again, it's the prorated figure, so it has to drop, whatever. Maybe closer to the deadline, it could make some more sense. I am open to exploring getting him out of that spot in Carolina, but I am worried that if Hubbard's playing great and Sanders isn't, that might be a Sanders issue more than like a team issue. So I want you guys to name a player who you want to trade for. Let me know in the comments of today's video, what player do you want to go out and acquire if you were the Jones boys? Now, in general, I am not opposed to still searching for running back help. Dowdle's better than Miles Sanders. We also need to acknowledge the fact that, hey, Rico Dowdle has injury history that's probably a pretty big red flag. And I would be worried about him making it through an entire season. And then we'll see about Dalvin Cook, whatever. If you even play Zeke Elliott, Deuce Vaughn, it's not a great room. So some other trade targets to consider here. Khalil Herbert is kind of not playing in Chicago. Roschon Johnson has surpassed him along with DeAndre Swift. So call about that one there. Dameon Pierce, the Texans running back, has not played very well, but could end up being available there. Travis Etienne, who maybe the Jags shop him. We'll see about that. Zamir White has not played well in Las Vegas, but he does fit that power back mold. Jeff Wilson Jr., the Dolphins running back, is certainly worth exploring there. He's kind of buried as the fourth option. Not super starry, but like spot gap option is fine. I do like Israel Abanikanda. he is buried on the Jets depth chart, which I think is worth exploring. So he's got the juice. You don't really have it at that spot. Of all the Cowboys' needs right now, what do you think is the biggest for the Dallas Cowboys? Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Let's go to safety Budda Baker, who we have mentioned before on this show because I'm a sucker for safeties. And once again, Bleach Report saying they make sense. Here's what they wrote. Baker could also be a sensible trade target for the Cowboys. Dallas is in the playoff mix and has gotten underwhelming play from safeties Donovan Wilson and Amari Cooper, which I agree with. Unfortunately, by the way, Baker's still a damn good football player. Now, he is getting up there in age. I don't know how many more prime years he has, but I do think he'd be a really fun chess piece for Mike Zimmer in that secondary. And I agree with Bleacher Report. I think most of us agree too. Like, Amari Cooper has not played very well. Donovan Wilson has not played very well. I am anxious they haven't played Wanye Thomas and Marquise Bell. Despite the idea of it being fun, I'm going to go 5% chance. And all these might end up being a little bit too high. In a bubble, let's add Budda Baker and get that defense and impact safety. Biggest issue here, I'm not sure Arizona sells him, but also $14.2 million salary. Okay, that's not going to happen. Dallas isn't going to do it. We know that. Unless Arizona wants to eat all of that contract, I don't see that one going down at all. Now, if and when the Cowboys make a trade, we will make a video for you. Hit that sub button for more free updates right now. Let's talk trade rumors here on Cam Robinson, which I find curious. The argumentation here. Well, let's just let USA Today explain themselves. Then I will criticize them. Robinson is one of the league's more solid, if underrated tackles, and is set to be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. Meanwhile, the expensive Cowboys are still trying to contend in a make-or-break season and could use a real bookend like Robinson on the right side. I'm going negative 5% on this one here, and I am docking points from USA Today, in whose line style, the points don't matter anyway, for providing bad info and just being wrong on stuff. There's actually several things wrong with what was written in that USA Today piece. Number one, the Cowboys are not actually expensive. Stop saying that. They are not spending the same cash as other NFL teams. They have $22 million in salary cap space, or $26 million on which site you're on. They've got plenty of money. Now, that said, the $17.75 million salary Cam Robinson is owed is expensive. Who here thinks Dallas will pay him $1 million the rest of the way for each game? No chance. I would also not put Cam Robinson in the underrated category. I think he's more fine than anything else. I think he's played a little bit better the last few seasons, but I would also argue that Cam Robinson is who he is now. Here's his PFF grades. And look, it's PFF. You don't have to like him. That's totally fine. Here's what you have at this point. You've got 35th, 47th, 45th, 50th, tied for 67th, 75th. Did not qualify. He is at the age where it's probably not going to get significantly better. Cam Robinson is who he is at this point in his NFL career. And that's fine. But the biggest argument for you was, you got to put him on the right side. He's never played right tackle in the NFL. Not one time has Cam Robinson lined up at right tackle. So I'm trading for an okay veteran to flip sides? A veteran, by the way, who is actually worse than your current starter at right tackle. Cam Robinson's got more sacks, more hits, more penalties, and a worse PFF run grade. What are we doing out here? Are we just throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what happens? How did we get his position wrong? That can't happen. That's why I dock points, because it just simply doesn't make any sense.